Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button. If you are returning, welcome back. Today's reading is about change. Now, prior to this reading, I've got a couple of readings that I am doing today. And I just put it out there, what am I meant to do? Which am I meant to start first? I've been receiving messages for the last couple of days about this particular subject. And so it was just perfect that as I was shuffling this last stack of cards, this card just popped out of the deck and fell onto the table. So this is the message of today's reading, change. So a bit about me first. I am an intuitive reader. I receive messages prior to the reading, sometimes in music, sometimes in meditation, sometimes through cards like this. And then I take that information, weave it together, and use my tarot and oracle decks to further develop the message. Now, I am also an illustrator, so all of my tarot and oracle decks are hand illustrated by myself, and if you are interested in any of those, you can find the links to those within the description box. So the messages that have been coming through the last couple of days, and I think the readings that I will do today will actually weave into each other. So if this reading resonates with you, please check out the other readings that I've posted in and around this particular reading. So if you haven't been here before, and my apologies to those who have, you will hear me talk about this quite frequently. I am currently in the process of studying the Pluto and Aquarius transit. Pluto spends 20 years in each sign. It's currently in Aquarius, where it will be until 2044. I think is the date. Yes, 2044. Throughout history, in a Pluto and Aquarius transit, we have seen radical change in the world. If you go back 250 years, we saw the French Revolution, the American Revolution. Prior to that, the 250 years prior to that, we saw massive change, for example, within the English Church, change from Catholicism to the Church of England. Aquarius being for the people. Aquarius is opposite Leo, so it is about a switch from a focus on the higher ups to a focus on the people. And if you are interested in any of the love stories around these particular transits, I have done a Napoleon and Josephine reading, which picks up the themes of the Pluto and Aquarius transit. I've also just recently posted Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, which also picks up the themes of this particular transit. Now, the reason that I believe this reading is coming up is because I'm meant to share my story of change, change mindset. And a number that I see all the time is 911. Everywhere I go, I see that number. And I've been seeing it for quite a while, more recently in the last couple of days. Now, 911 is obviously the emergency services number in America. 9/11 is the date that the attacks happened in America. For me, it is a date I will remember because I was standing in my lounge room, 6 months pregnant with my first child, watching those towers come down and standing there and just asking God, what world am I bringing my child into? I was 26 at the time, and at that point in my life, I didn't really have a negative opinion of any religions around the world. I can say I probably didn't know a lot about any other religion but my own, which is Catholic, but I didn't have a negative opinion of any other religion. But after that point, and this came up in a reading I did yesterday, I think I titled it, You Help Me Heal. But from that moment in history, the world view on Islam and Muslim people completely changed because of the horrific acts of a few. The collective as a whole of that group of people was changed for the worse. And my view on those people, even though I didn't know anybody of that faith, my view changed as well because what I was seeing was fed to me by the media at the time. And if you think back to that time, mobile phones weren't something that everybody had. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, none of it was invented. Your only source of information was mainstream media. And so it, for everybody, I think, for the last 20 years, has made an imprint on our whole being as a human race. And the reason that I say this is because that belief that I held was challenged 4 years ago when that child who was in my belly, when the towers came down, came to me to tell me that they were converting to Islam. And I remember that day vividly because I sat and I listened, a million things going through my head. And then I hopped in my car and I just drove and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I don't even know what I was crying about. I don't even know whose thoughts it was that I was crying about. I was trying to distinguish between what I thought and what I thought other people would think and the information that had been fed for so long. And that for me was the beginning of a huge dark night of the soul. So much shadow work, so much deep diving into who I thought I was, what I believed, what I knew was true, what I didn't know was just weeding through all of this information. And I remember driving that day in the car thinking to myself, actually, I was asking God, how do I support this person that I love? How do I protect this person that I love? How do I support them, even though I don't understand what it is, even though I don't understand what this change means? And 4 years later, I am still Catholic. We have a multi-faith, perfectly functioning multi-faith family where everybody is respectful of everybody's beliefs. But it's been a journey. And today I sit here on the second day of Ramadan, which I have decided this year for the month of Ramadan, I am going to fast in solidarity for the people of Palestine, but primarily because I wanted to show my child that I am supportive of the spiritual journey that they are taking. So the song that I was getting, well, two songs actually. The first song I was getting was This Is Me. Now that's a Kesha song, The Greatest Showman. And it is about an individual's right to be who they want to be, to make their own decisions within their spiritual journey. The second song I was getting was San Andreas Fault, which is a Natalie Merchant song. Now, last year I was getting many, many, many songs and many downloads through meditation, through signs and symbols about an earthquake. Now, as I said before, we are in the Pluto and Aquarius transit, which is happening for the next 20 years. Uranus rules Aquarius, and Uranus is the planet of earthquakes. Now, earthquake in itself, obviously they happen all the time around the world, but earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, that sort of thing, if you think about things religiously, salami, tsunami, you might be eating salami as you're listening to this reading. It's not halal, but anyway. Tsunamis for me is a symbol of the Great Flood, is a symbol of Noah. It can also be seen as a representation of the Great Exodus and Moses, with the water drawing back, allowing them safe passage through. But that San Andreas Fault song for me is representative symbolically of a big shift, a collective shift, a collective awakening. And if we think about the sign of Aquarius, which is an air sign is ruled by Mercury, which is communication. We've had massive solar flares and massive increase in solar flares over the past couple of years. What if one of those big solar flares takes out our communication, i.e. the internet. Something catastrophic that causes a collective awakening, causes this big change. For me, it was when my child decided to change religions. Our whole family is Catholic. Everybody in our family is Catholic. But it shouldn't matter because, and I was getting this song the other day, Father Abraham has many sons. Christianity, Judaism, and Islam are all Abrahamic faiths. They all believe in Moses, Mary, Joseph, Jesus. They all believe in the same thing. They just look at it from a different angle. But there's something happening. This reading is coming out because, whether you've had, a child come to you or a partner come to you or a friend come to you that is making a dramatic change in their life, which is very, very Pluto and Aquarius. Who you are today is totally different to who you'll be and what you believe in 20 years' time when this transit is finished. And I've got a reading on that, what changes are coming to you, I think, in the Pluto and Aquarius transit. So there's some different scenarios that I was picking up on. And I think that there's things in our history that actually make those changes. Now, yesterday I was watching Les Mis because there is relevance within that Pluto and Aquarius transit. So in the French Revolution, the people were already in a bad way. The royal family at the time was excessively indulgent in their own personal ventures. If we think Leo being the opposite of Aquarius, the royal family at the time, the kings at the time were incredibly indulgent and the people were really struggling. The government, the monarchy at the time, the government decided that it wanted to financially support the American Revolution to help America separate itself from its ties with England. So the French sent money and arms and weapons, and I'm not sure if they sent soldiers, but they basically helped to fund the American Revolution. And what that actually did was it cleared out all the coffers, out all the money in France, which meant there was nothing left for the people. And they were in a dire way at that time. There was famine, there was disease. Now that was a man-made decision that caused that effect on French people. But what subsequently then happened and actually really caused the French Revolution was a catalyst for. There was a volcano that erupted for an 8-month period in Iceland called Lucky. Now Lucky means fortunate or lucky. And what that actually did is it put an ash cloud over Europe for years, which destroyed all their crops and really sent them into famine. They were desperate. And so they stormed the Bastille. And so that is when the French Revolution happened. So there was a man-made event which tipped them over, and then God stepped in to give them that little bit of extra boost. And when I think about it in relevance to 9/11, a man-made event, and perhaps we will see a seismic event, whether it is a tsunami or an earthquake or a volcano, that will actually be the catalyst for this collective change. And I think we're already seeing it. Perhaps the earthquake, the change, the seismic event is actually symbolic of a change in people's perception. And if you look at it from a faith perspective, there are countries in the world where Islam is the fastest growing religion. There are people on social media talking about, just like me, fasting for the month of Ramadan, even though they are not of that religious background, for the people, in solidarity. And it reminds me of that song, and for the life of me, I can't remember the name. Lightning Crashes. Lightning Crashes is the tower. The tower's coming down. 9/11, people's perception of the collective of people is crashing down. Lightning crashes. The angel opens her eyes. Now that is a song about a mother who dies in childbirth. Many young people at the moment converting to Islam because of what they're seeing currently in the Middle East. Now, the interesting thing about this message is yesterday, I think I said I was watching Les Mis, doing a bit of research, getting a bit more information about these Pluto and Aquarius transits and the big revolutionary changes that happen. My TV was flickering and I couldn't work out why. The power kept tripping. When I turned the safety switch back on, the show that I was watching, which was Les Mis, which was on a particular streaming service on my TV, had completely turned off. And what happened was when the TV rebooted, it logged into a different streaming service and started playing a movie. And I had not searched this movie, or it just happened to be starting at that particular time when the TV rebooted. And I was watching, the initial parts of the movie thinking, I wonder what this is. There's a message in this. It was Schindler's List. Now, wasn't I just talking about something happening to our communication during the period of Aquarius, a solar flare affecting power and electricity and communication? Oskar Schindler was a successful and narcissistic German businessman who slowly started worrying about the safety of his Jewish workforce after witnessing their persecution in Poland during World War II. And what was I just talking about? People witnessing what's currently happening in the world and changing their views. Changing their views. It's a massive shift. It is literally an earthquake. The other thing that has been popping up in my feed is the fact that 911, so if we think about the World Trade Centers, 9/11 is for many considered to be the date of Jesus' birth, actual date he was born, not December the 25th. Now, in the research that I've done going back to those times, nothing can be proven, but many people believe that 9/11, 9/11, September 11, is the date that Jesus was born. Now, September is the month of Virgo. If you look at the sign for Virgo, it is an M with almost like a little fish on the bottom. Virgo and the Nine of Pentacles is card that's symbolic of the Virgin Mary. The M in Virgo is Mary, and the little fish at the bottom is Jesus. So it makes sense that it's September. The other thing I was hearing was the importance of being earnest. Now, I that's a movie. I've not watched it, but I will go and look further into that. But there is a massive shift coming that is going to shake up the world. And finally, for some random reason, and as soon as I say it now out loud, obviously my phone will pick up on it and I'll start getting it. But I really take notice of the things that pop up regularly in my social media feeds that I don't go searching for because there are messages within them. What's been popping up of late is the visions that the three children had, I think in South America, and I'm not quite sure when. You can look it up. The visions of Our Lady of Fatima. These children say that they were visited in visions by the Virgin Mary, who gave them messages. Now, the first two messages have come true. The third message was written down and is held in a vault in the Vatican. It's suspected that it is something to do with the death of the Pope. Theories are that it came true and one of the popes there was an attempted assassination on him. But if you look further into it, and the Pope being a symbolic symbol of the church, is it the death of the church? And we've already seen that with all of the horrendous child sex allegations that have been happening through the church. So I think in general, the message that is coming through is that there is big changes coming and huge changes. Finally, I was hearing the emperor's new clothes and the Word puppets. So I'm just going to pull some cards and see where we go on this theme of change. On the bottom, we've got the Emperor. So we've got the Two of Swords, the Lovers, the King of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Emperor. So the Two of Swords is the Moon in Libra, things that you don't see coming, but things that are meant to balance out this change. This change that you don't see coming. The Lovers, I think of that, that's as a choice. Are you going to roll with the change and accept it? The Lovers used to be called the choice card. Are you going to, with the King of Pentacles here, what are you building your new foundations on? And the King of Cups here. And I think of just watching America at the moment, because it's a TV screen in itself, really. It's a drama playing out in itself. And it aligns with what we were seeing in the French Revolution. The person who was the King of Pentacles, the king, was beheaded. And the people coming forward and saying that they want more. They want more than just money and finance. The people saying that they actually want to be seen. And interesting there with the Emperor, the Emperor's new clothes. He was under a massive illusion. He was fooled into thinking that what he was wearing was this grand silk, and it was all an illusion. He was stripped naked, taken back to his core. Big changes because of the choices there, with the Lovers, because of the choices that he made. And are you, in King of Pentacles, sometimes the earth signs are quite fixed, quite stubborn. Are you going to be stubborn and put your blindfolds on like this Emperor? Or are you going to let love in and allow this change? Because with the Two of Swords there, that is, as I said before, it is the moon in Libra. So the moon is what's hidden. And change is scary. I mean, as I said to you, that day I got in my car and I just drove and I drove and I cried and I cried and I cried. Change is scary. But moon in Libra, there's balance. Libra is balance. Change happens. Towers come crumbling down when change is required. Because maybe you are stuck somewhere that you don't need to be. And I think collectively we are stuck in this mindset of victimizing a certain group of people because of what happened 20 years ago. And now people, with this King of Cups here, people are starting to recognize that those beliefs that they had are so distant from who the majority of that religious group are. I mean, you only have to watch any of the footage on any of the people, the civilians in Palestine, who are, women and children losing their lives. And they're beautiful. I mean, I've not heard any of them say anything nasty about anybody. They're gracious in their death, in losing loved ones. They're being slaughtered. And they are, in a way, we're meant to be viewing it. We are meant to be viewing it. We are meant to be, we're witness to it so that our mindset can change. I mean, the Emperor was meant to walk down the street in the nude so that people could witness it, but so that he could learn a lesson as well. And I've said it previously, before in other readings, if we, there is a photographer in Palestine. There is a Palestinian photographer called Motaz, Motaz. You can search him up on Instagram. Prior to October, he had a couple of thousand people following him on Instagram. He was just a photographer. And he started documenting what was happening to his people. And within 5 months, his Instagram following had gone from a few thousand to 18 million in 5 months. And in comparison to the Instagram account of POTUS, which is the President of the United States, he surpassed that Instagram account in a matter of months because people's opinions are changing. They want this love and emotion as opposed to this King of Pentacles. Okay, so let's get some more cards. Two of Swords, King of Swords, the truth. And not underneath it, that come out with it is the Magician. The illusion is changing. The illusion, this Emperor, the illusion is changing. A magician is somebody who does trickery. Mercury is the planet of the magician. Mercury is communication. Things are being communicated that is changing the mindset of people. Lovers. Hermit. People that were stuck in this prior illusion, this outdated thinking of who a group of people were. If I look at Oskar Schindler, that movie that came up, he was in the Nazi Party. He was German. He had this illusion of the Jewish people that were working for him as purely people that could generate him an income. By the end of the movie, his preconceived notions had actually changed and he saw them as human beings. You know, that hermit mode for me was that those of years from when my child first came to me and me going into a massive self-reflection mode, deep shadow work, in order to get to the point where, as I said, today I'm on my second day of fasting for Ramadan. Let's have a look at this King of Pentacles, Hierophant. These changes are meant to happen, and the Hierophant is this particular energy is symbolic of God. Like I said in the French Revolution, you know, man made the decision to send money. Human beings made the decision to send money across to America to help fund the American Revolution. But God stepped in with that massive volcano. That was the catalyst for the French Revolution. You know, and hopefully we don't see a massive seismic event. But none of us have any control over what God wants. Too many. Ten of Pentacles, which is Mercury in Virgo. So, you know, Ten of Pentacles is wish fulfillment. Ten of Pentacles is everything that you desire. Ten of Pentacles is, you know, if you're looking at it from a relationship point of view, is, you know, happy families. But the illusion is that what your perceived notion of the world, of what your Ten of Pentacles is changing through a truth coming forward, a change that's happening. And you will see that what you originally thought was your Ten of Pentacles isn't that anymore. And if I look at it, in terms of my family, I absolutely adore that we are a multi-faith family. But if you had have asked me that 4 years ago, or even 20 years ago, you would have got a different answer from me. But the change that has come has been a blessing. It has absolutely been a blessing. King of Cups again on the bottom. It's been a blessing. Okay. The sun came out upside down. Now I did look on the bottom. I've got the star on the bottom. The sun came out upside down. My cards are the right way in my deck. So that has come out upside down for a reason. You are, up until this point of change, whether you've already experienced it or whether it's coming, currently in the dark until this change happens. And that goes back to this moon in Libra, in the dark. In the dark about what will actually bring balance to your life. This change that's coming will bring balance to your life. You can also read that as you may have been feeling like something was missing. You may have been searching for this change, looking for the light, but not being able to find it. We've got the Magician again. That illusion. That illusion here, but I think by the time you actually start to do some internal, self-reflection and realize that you have a choice as to where you want to stay, where you want to keep your mindset, that you want to change, you can then start using the tools that you have in order to create a better outcome, in order to create a better Ten of Pentacles. Truth. So we've got the Ace of Cups and we've got the Two of Cups. Two of Cups is Venus in Cancer. What do you want to push forward and nurture? Now, the Two of Cups is also a soul mate card. So things in your life that were, for example, with me and my child, a fated relationship that was meant to be the catalyst when truths come forward, the catalyst for change, changing the dynamics of the relationships that you have. It's not a coincidence that I was standing there watching the TV, 6 months pregnant, when those towers came down, and that my child would come to me 18 years later to change to that religion. That was meant to happen. And now I look at it, and it was beautiful. The freedom now in that relationship that I have with that person, the freedom in communication, accepting somebody with that song, that Kesha song, accepting somebody for who they are just opens up a world in all other aspects of your life. It changes how you view things instead of being stuck. Oh, now, I should have said it, but that was on the bottom of the deck when I first picked it up. Two of Wands. Opens up new beginnings and gets you out of that Five of Swords. Removes it altogether. The Five of Swords is Venus in Aquarius. So as I said, we are in the Aquarius transit. And the Two of Wands is Mars in Aries, that determined focus for a new beginning. And we've got the High Priestess on the bottom, which is the moon. Journeys in your lifetime that you were meant to go on, that enact great change. Okay, now I'm going to get some messages. This is my Divine Messages Oracle deck. Get a couple first. Actually, let's have a look at that one. Okay, you are protected in this particular process. You are protected. Spiritual connection, especially if this is a change in faith or something that aligns you with your true north, something that aligns you with who you are meant to be in this lifetime from a spiritual perspective, because it is with this soulmate card here, this Two of Cups, it is something that is part of your journey. It is an obstacle that you are meant to overcome. Change comes when we become stuck somewhere, whether it's physically stuck or whether it's stuck in patterns, personality patterns, whether it's stuck in a belief system that doesn't align with who we are on a soul level. That's when that change comes. The tower falls. And with reference to 9/11, that tower fell because people, I believe, were meant to get this huge hate for the Islamic community so that they could be reawoken with this King of Cups here, reawoken to the fact that what they were being fed was actually, with the Magician here, an illusion. And it was time to make the change and use their own mind instead of following, with the emperor. The emperor used his own mind instead of following the advice of these tailors that had made his entire outfit out of nothing. He walked down the street in the nude. That's the big lessons. Let's have a look. Be confident. Be confident. If this is you that's making the change, be confident that with the High Priestess card here, be confident that where you are being drawn is your soul's path. And as I said to you, I would drive in my car and I would cry and cry and cry. And I would ask God to help me, to guide me on the journey that I was on with my child. I would say, I don't understand this, but I know that I had this gut feeling that I just needed to ignore all the negative things that were, that were coming into my mind, that I just needed to follow where I was being led, and being confident about that, even though with the moon in Libra here, even though the answers that you're looking for were hidden. Mastery, and here I sit today, 4 years later, fasting for Ramadan. This particular lesson with my child, so the lesson with my child started 4 years ago, but the lesson for me started the day that I watched those towers fall. It's been a 20-year lesson for me, and I think I've mastered it. What are you going to master in your life? Serendipity was all meant to happen the way it happened. And I speak from experience. It was all meant to happen the way it was meant to happen. And new connection. Reconnecting with your true self. The new connections that have been made once you make this change. I think of all of the beautiful people that I have met or that my child has met in that change of faith. Absolutely beautiful people. And you've got the Two of Cups card here again. People that were fated for you to meet in this lifetime. And there's an interesting story. My child met a lady through a university degree who she became quite good friends with, who was Muslim, and this lady had been to Mecca a couple of years ago and had bought multiple prayer mats. She said she was called to buy it. She didn't know who it was for, but she instinctively knew that when the person who it was for was meant to have it, they would arrive. And she gave it to my child. They were meant to meet. That was part of that journey. That meeting was serendipitous. And that story in itself is beautiful. We were all meant to meet Motaz, a Palestinian photographer, to help pull us out of the darkness that was, or the illusion that was, who people of that faith background are. And look, on the bottom, elevation. To elevate our collective consciousness. So I'm going to look here at what angels are guiding us on this journey, or you on this journey of change, whether it's a change internally for yourself or whether it's a change within somebody that's around you. Number 23. Now 2 and a 3 is a 5. Melahel. Healing and courage. So healing past wounds and taking the courage to make the changes that you are intuitively being drawn to do. Intuitively being drawn to make. Samuel. Death and fetching souls. Death is rebirth. Death is rebirth. Fetching souls. Bringing people out of that illusion that they've been fed. 41, again a 5. 4 and 1 is 5. 5 is change. Divine mission. You were meant to make this change in this lifetime. It was destined for you. Motaz's divine mission was to become a photographer. He had no idea that it would take him to where he is now, where he is being an advocate on the world stage for the plight of his people. 53, which is an 8. This year is the year numerologically, it is the number 8. 2024 adds up to an 8. 8 is karmic cycles. That is Saturn. That is learning karmic cycles coming to an end in order for abundance. New beginnings, spiritual communication and meditation. Going within into this hermit, going within and getting the answers that you seek in order to make the changes that are meant for you in this lifetime. And the last one, we've got number 20. That is beautiful. Protection and guidance on your spiritual journey. So know that you are being protected and know that you are being guided. And if you need guidance, ask. Go into meditation. Take the time, go for a drive. Take the time to sit down with people and get more information, because it's all part of your spiritual journey. And number 12, adversity, lucid dreaming, and discerning secrets. That is going in and asking for that guidance, having those secrets revealed. For me, the realization that what happened when I was pregnant is all connected to what's currently happening today. Now, these cards, I'm going to get some messages from your higher self. I know exactly how you feel when you look at me with those eyes. Now, I think of the eyes of the children that are being slaughtered and the impact through people like Motaz, the impact that is having on the people around the world, the change that is happening, the people that are converting to Islam, the people that, like me, are fasting in solidarity for Ramadan, looking into the eyes of those people and recognizing that they are human beings like you and me. And the illusion that you had of them as anything but is being removed. The illusion that Oskar Schindler had of the Jewish people in World War II. He started seeing them as people. It's taking longer than I thought. Please wait. The process is not, as I said to you, for us, it started back in 2001. But more recently, it has been the last 4 years that change has happened within our multi-faith family. And it is a journey. It's not meant to be done when big changes happen. When volcanoes erupt, it is years and years and years and years of things building up underneath the surface in order for that to happen. An earthquake the same. It just doesn't wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm going to have, I'm going to, cause an earthquake today. It is years and years and years and years of things bubbling under the surface that create that change. So don't think that you have to have all the answers straight away. It is actually a progression. It is actually a journey. And we did have that spiritual journey. It is a journey, and it may be a lifelong journey, but at the moment with this Pluto and Aquarius transit, it's all coming to the surface. It's like the kettle is boiling. It's all coming up. I think you may have misunderstood me. I go back to, our interpretation of or what was being fed to us in terms of who people were as a group of people. I want to make amends. Changing those preconceived notions that you have. Because I don't think we're all meant to be the one religion. I think we're all meant to be, I think the lesson that we are meant to learn in this lifetime is that everybody is different and those differences should be celebrated as opposed to being used as tools to separate. Divine timing. And that goes back to everything happening the way it's meant to happen. And in my head, I'm thinking of, the San Andreas Fault. Now, that's in America. And if you look at the synchronicities, and we did have the synchronicity card under here. No, serendipity. If you look at the synchronicities between what's happening in America at the moment, I mean, there's countless reports of homelessness and poverty. And their healthcare system is exorbitantly expensive, and the cost of living going up, and all of these things that are happening to them from a financial perspective. But they're sending money, they're funding war in the Middle East. And if you look at it synchronistically with what happened in France, France was in massive debt, in massive poverty. The people were dying, and they were sending money to America to help fund their war. And in my belief, God stepped in and said, enough. And literally that volcano in Iceland blew and caused the revolution of the people. And a couple of days ago, I did a reading, and I can't remember what I titled it. I think it's Solar Eclipse. There are many, many videos on YouTube which I've watched in regards to the signs and symbols that are coming out of what is being called a biblical solar eclipse. For the last 7 years in America, culminating with, there's been 2 solar eclipses, and then the final one in that 7-year period will happen on the 8th of April this year. Now, that solar eclipse marks the line that the tracking that it goes across America marks a Hebrew A. Well, it looks like an A, but it's a sideways A. And the meaning for that is the beginning. The other meaning for that is, in older Hebrew, is El, E-L, which means God. Now, the irony is we've got the beginning, and then divine timing, in 7 years' time, the solar eclipses that will cross across the Muslim countries, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Mecca, which is the spiritual focal point of Islam, form an X. They track and form an X. And now an X in Hebrew is the end, the beginning and the end. 7-7. 7-7 being a highly, highly spiritual number. But it's interesting that we've got, with this change card here, this focus on America, which is predominantly Christian, beginning, and then the end within a 7-year period. We have a focus, the solar eclipses then focus on the Islamic countries. And I posted a reading yesterday. The first will be the last and the last will be the first, which is very similar to this. Be clear, tell me what you want on the bottom. And that goes back to that change. That goes back to, somebody in your life coming forward and giving you a piece of information that changes everything. Or you making the decision that you need the change in your life and actually stepping forward, recognizing that it is part of the spiritual journey that you are meant to be on in this lifetime, and making the changes that you need, irrespective of the fears that are involved in that. This massive shift that needs to happen. Okay, finally, I'm going to get, in here I've got Scrabble tiles. They have letters and numbers on them. I will read them out. It may be your first, middle, last initial. It could be that of somebody that you are dealing with in terms of change that is happening or changes that you need to make. I will just pull some out and read out the letters and numbers, and we will go from there. I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake. Oh, that's a lot. I don't know if I want that many, but okay. Now, I will say the ones that are down, I read last, and these ones that are standing up, for me, have special significance. So we've got a B and a 3. I don't know why, but there's a reason that it's standing up. Maybe it's a sign that you need to stand up. Stand up and be accountable. Be the letter B. Be accountable. Be the person that you want to be. Make the change that you want to make. So we've got a V and a 4. We've got an S and a 1. An F and a 4. An O and a 1. An L and a 1. A P and a 3. This is quite a lot of letters, but they're here for a reason. A Y and a 4. Okay, let's look at these upside down ones. An R and a 1. A K and a 5. A Q and a 10. A U and a 1. A G and a 2. A Z and a 10. A W and a 4. And these two are sitting on top of each other. Oh, and isn't that interesting? An I and an X, which in Roman numerals is a 9. And we've got a 1 and an 8 on the bottom, which is a 9 as well. It might be that you are 9 years into this journey, 9 years into this change. It might be that this change doesn't happen for another 9 years. There's something significant with a 9. Wix. I was actually just talking about that yesterday with my daughter. The Wix websites are all Israeli. Now, Wix being an internet business, and when I was talking before about Aquarius and interruptions in technology, which tracks back to this Pluto and Aquarius transit that I was talking about before. So major disruptions in communications and technology, as in the internet. Gen Z. Now, I was doing some research. Generation Z goes from 1995 to 2012 is what I read. That's quite a long time. Gen Zs are the change makers of this particular. I was researching Pluto and Aquarius, which was so prior to Pluto and Aquarius now, which is the next 20 years. We've been in Pluto in Capricorn, and then prior to that, we're in Pluto in Sagittarius. So I was looking up information on Pluto and Sagittarius, and it came up, this Gen Z, which is 1995 to 2012. Is that right? 2000, it seems like an awful long time. Maybe it is 2012 because I've got that in my head. Gen Z, the generation of Gen Z are the change makers, and they are the people that currently are in that age bracket of, say, 15, 16 years old, right up to 28, 29, 30. They are the humanitarian change makers. They will be the change makers in this lifetime. Now, Motaz, he's 25. My child who made this change is 22. The change makers, the people who in society are the ones rallying around the world, calling for a ceasefire. The ones who are changing religion, changing, converting, or reverting, as it's known, reverting to Islam. It's that Generation Z. It's those people that are making those changes and doing it in droves. Those people that, if you only have to go on Instagram, any social media, and look at the amount of people who are changing their faith and people who are not changing their faith, but like me, are doing things in solidarity of people that are having their human rights, of the people that are being slaughtered. And again, it goes back to that Pluto and Aquarius. Revolutionary changes, Aquarius being for the people, Gen Z, that bracket of youth of today, coming forward now. And if you look at that group of people, that age bracket, they either weren't born yet, so had parents that would have experienced information that had come out, or that sentiment that had been garnered from the 9/11 attacks, or they had been born and were probably 5 or 6 years old. So really, from a perspective, they really wouldn't have had an understanding of it. But what they are now coming up against in terms of this change is they are now coming up against and coming forward to people in their lives who have this conceived notions about the Islamic faith because of what they saw in those attacks. And as I said, it was all meant to happen this way. It was all meant to happen this way. Because in order to have the change, you have to bring a tower down. You have to bring the thought patterns of somebody down in order to build a new beginning. And go and listen to that song, This Is Me. So that's where I'm going to leave it today. This has been a very interesting and in-depth reading. And I'm probably going to think about it all day today now. So if this reading resonated with you, please give it a like. You're most welcome to share your story in the comment section. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. I'd love to see you again. I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of the day